Welcome. We bid you welcome. John Clauser, Johnny Metal, the Metal Dad, coming to you from my music corner of the world. We got John the Music Nut from the Music Nut program. How you doing, my friend?
Doing great. How y'all doing?
Man, long time no see, if I don't say so myself.
Yeah.
We got Mr. Mangus DC in the house. How
Thank
you
you for
doing, my
having me
friend?
back.
Man, it's great to have
Everything
you.
good.
Great to
Absolutely.
have you here.
Absolutely. Good to
So,
see you. Good to see you both and good being here again. Definitely
yes.
in the midst of all these hurricanes and stuff like that. But
Ye-
luckily, this area was spared.
For those who are wondering, Mangus lives in the Raleigh
Raleigh,
area
yeah,
down in
exactly
Raleigh,
Raleigh.
so he got spared a little bit, whereas Asheville unfortunately did not. So our thoughts go out to you folks in Asheville for anybody watching from
Absolutely.
there.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, so today, however, we're pushing it up to the limit. Episode 5 with Grant's Rock Warehouse's favorite album cover of all time. It's the Balls to the Wall album. So, what we got here? So, recorded in Dirk's studio in Stammheim, Cologne, Germany through July and August 1983, released December 5th, 1983. Interesting. Let's see what else we got here. Released in RCA in Germany, Portrait and Epic in the US. And we have literally 45 minutes and 13 seconds of absolute metal goodness, if I don't say so myself. One single, their enduring song that sounded amazing when we saw them at the Sherman Theater. Balls, the title track, of course. Chart action. There's actually a little bit of chart action here. Canada goes up to 43. The German charts, which only went to 59. That's weird. I find that in their home country, and there must be some weird basis for there. But anyway, Swedish charts goes up to 10, and got up to 74 here in the states. Um, Goes gold in Canada, 50,000 units. Goes gold here in the states, the only album for Accept to do so. So that's also an interesting little tidbit. So without further ado, Mr. Mangus, we're going to let you take the floor. And as we always said in the Judas Priest series, the point of entry into Accept.
Right.
And of course, you living in Italy at the time, I'm curious to know what the European take was on this album. And then we will let you do your piece on this album. Uh, the day we're recording this, Mangus needs to kind of move along, so he needs to cut out a little early. So we are going to give him the floor and have all the time he needs to take. Take it away, sir.
I'm glad you said what was your point of entry and not when accept nail your balls to the wall, but like but
I'll use that for for other shows.
yes. Anyway, so actually the funny thing with accept is like when I first got into hard rock and metal with my very first bands being like Sixty Sputnik, Europe, and then Guns N' Roses and stuff like that. Then I got all these mixtapes like you always do with friends when you are like preteen or teen or whatever, or especially we're talking 80s and 90s. So back in 89, I want to say, I had this mixtape with Metal Heart, just the song. So that was my point of entry, and like we said, with the band for whatever reason. And I still kind of believe, I still have the same opinion about Accept, of them being basically like the ultimate 80s metal band. So, with that, what I mean with that is that if you're not into the genre too much yet, there's not too much for you in it, and it's really hard to to get out of that limitation in a way with this band specifically. But I will rephrase this better when I talk about the album. But anyway, I really like the song because I like the little quote of the Furley's in in uh in the solo part and whatnot. So that was a good song. For whatever reason, then I remember hearing some Udo solo material, but I never really got into them too much until many years later when I actually happened to see the reunion tour, one of the Gods of Metal festivals that in Italy. That was in 2005, and they were playing together with, I think there were Megadeth that day, and also Anthrax in the classic reunion lineup. And that was around the time in which everybody was reuniting just to start hating each other again a few months later. So, but that's how it always is.
Yeah.
And I remember really enjoying the show. I really liked the show, and in fact, I was like, yeah, maybe I should have paid a little more attention to this specific band and stuff. And by all means, I believe that Balls to the Walls is my favorite work by them. And it's been ever since that day because, like, I believe I didn't hear the song before that day, but I remember everybody, including those who didn't know it, singing the chorus at some point and with the fist in the air, and it was fun. It's all like in good fun when you see a concert like that. It just exploits camaraderie, if you will.
We like
So
camaraderie.
yeah,
Good stuff.
so that's really the sum of it. But yeah, I believe this album is actually really good. It's pure 80s metal perfection, if I can say something to that degree. And like I was saying a few minutes ago, it presents everything with the strong parts of it, the highs and the lows, like not the lows like in terms of quality or whatever, but the limitations, if you will, that at the time, especially certain bands would have and would prevent them in the long run to become legends like, let's say, Iron Maiden or Judas Priest or Metallica, just to say the three names that everybody knows. But I think personally that one of the strongest limitations is in Udo's voice itself, which I personally like, but it has a little bit of a derivative quality to it because, like, you go just within the song, the title track, the album starts within the first minute, it's Lemmy. I mean, there is no doubt about it. It sounds exactly like Lemmy. And then it goes up and it is exactly Brian Johnson. And both bands being basically rock and roll bands, so those voices work perfectly there. This one here is I'm not gonna say like out of context or anything like that, but it presents a little bit of a challenge in a way to where it doesn't have that clear, clean quality like more versatile singers like Rob Alford or Bruce Dickinson or Belladonna or whatever like they could present and bring to the table. I believe this very same argument is extremely evident on let me get the title in Winter Dreams, the closing song, which is the necessary ballad in the album for the 80s standard. And you can definitely tell that it's not really taking off because of that, mostly because, like, especially when the guitars step back a little bit, a different singer could literally steal the whole scene and make a spectacle or something like that. Let's see, for example, like Ripper Owens is able to do, and like I said, Rob Alford with his all like harmonies and overdubs and stuff like that. I don't hear that quality here. That doesn't mean that is not a good album. I love this album. Like I said, it's metal perfection. There are certain songs like, for example, the London Leather Boys is so much fun. I mean, you cannot take that away from the album. Certain songs like the faster songs, like for example, Losing More Than You Will Ever Gain, or what is the title of the other one? Fight It Back. They are very Saxon-esque in a way. They remind me of songs like 20,000 FT or Motorcycle Man, a little bit those. And that's another band that I absolutely love to death, but I think that also has the problem of having like a singer a little bit monodimensional in a way. But I mean, again, it's not a criticism, it's what makes the personality of these singers, just like with a less mainstream appeal than some other singers out there. Again, absolutely though, this is great. And I really love, for example, in Losing More Than You Ever Had, when there is a breakdown and you hear Sign of the Time a little bit there, like a little bit of electronic drums pads and stuff like that. So I thought that was a little bit of a good digression from the usual standard. Now, and this is something that I would like to get your take on as well. Production-wise, um, is appropriate. It sounds exactly like it should, like for the genre, for the time and whatnot. I'm not a big fan, and this is also on other Accept albums. So this is not a production of this album, but it's most likely a choice of the musicians. I don't really like much the tone of the solos. Like the rhythm guitars are fine when they get to the leads. They are a little mosquito-y, a little I don't
Screechy.
know. Yeah, they have a very weird, which I understand why they did it, like the mid frequency enhanced that way is more cutting through for the mix and whatnot, so you can hear better the sound. But it sounds, I'm gonna say a terrible word, cheap. Like it almost sounds like if they were putting something straight to the board without passing through the amp, you know what I mean? Like maybe not quite, but in that area.
Hmm.
So it departs quite a little bit from the round, nice tone of the rhythm guitars. And my other observation that I have on production in general is how the bass for the most part, except one song where it actually starts with that dirty bass and stuff. But in other songs, it sounds so clean that it seems almost disjointed from the rest. Almost like poppy in a way, but in contrast with the rest, almost like let's say, and I'm sure this is not the case, but I'm just making an example, almost like if for example they decided to put a little reverb on the vocals, a little reverb on the guitars, on the drums and stuff, the bass is completely dry, so it kind of stands out on his own. Am I the only one noticing that?
I didn't notice it on the bass.
Okay.
But as far as your first points, yes, the guitar solos are strong, but they're not as well recorded on other albums. On Metal Heart, they're recorded much stronger, in my opinion. You can
Okay.
really, in my opinion, I think Wolf's guitars are a lot more in the mix, more expressive on Metal Hearts than they would be on this album. Like, yeah, they're not even as well recorded as Restless and Wild,
Okay.
in my opinion. So now with the bass, I didn't really notice that. I did notice some of the early tracks. Yes, that bass is starting up and it's way up in a mix, and that's one of the things I love about Accept, because a lot of albums at this time you didn't hear the bass. It was so deep in the
Yeah.
mix. Listen, Judas Priest, for example.
Right. Right.
But I didn't really notice it on the other songs. Like, I'm guessing you're probably thinking about songs on the second half. But
Yeah, I would say is like in the middle of the album.
right,
I
like
cannot really like quote an example because like it's a little bit of a general thing that I've
right,
noticed
like
here and there.
yeah, there may be like a song like "Turn Me On."
Yes.
It's just pretty basic. So I know where you're going there. Like, it's not completely up and doesn't really stand out like head over heels, for example.
Right.
So I see where you're going there, but when you first talked about the guitars, I was like, yes, I agree with that. The recording isn't as pristine
Yeah.
on on the lead guitar. The rhythm,
Yeah,
I agree with
the mix of the solos is not as pleasant as the rhythms, in my opinion. But
I would agree.
yeah.
Hmm.
And have you noticed, which is, in my opinion, extremely funny, in Balls to the Walls, the song, that there is a nutcracker at some point?
Gotta love that. I was like, you just imagine. I don't know. It's like Udo's in this dark, dank room, and he's about to go on a radio broadcast to do the little spiel there, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, you get a lot of those kind of moments on this album, I think.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you gotta love also the Miley Cyrus thing on the video.
yes, yeah, before Miley Cyrus was a thing. Uh,
Exactly.
the only thing I want to say about the bass, when just to go back to that for a second, you gone are those early Peter Baltus bass lines from the early albums. You're not hearing him sounding like a disco player or something. It's he's playing more for the song, what the song's calling for. And you're right. It is very, it is dry. You're right. That is a very good point. It's just like there's just not much depth to it or something.
Cohesion, yeah.
Yeah. You know, there, John and I will probably talk about a point about when we talk about Metal Heart next week. And the one song that we saw last week was Midnight Mover.
Okay.
And we both looked at each other. It's like, there was one thing missing in that song. And that was Peter's detuned bass
Right.
Oh,
from the
okay.
live version when they were playing it live. That was the only thing that was missing for some, but that's for next week. We'll save that for then. But yeah, no, that's a good, good,
By
good,
the
good
by
analysis
the
there.
way, I don't know which version you guys have, but in my version of the CD here, I have two live tracks.
I do.
I
Yep,
do.
Okay, okay, so it's the same version. Okay, which is, I believe, a remaster version, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
with they still kept the Tom of Finland kind of cover. Now, the funny part about that is that, and you most likely you know more than I do about this, like because like you seem to be more aware of the band or for a longer time than I was. But what I was hearing years ago is that, for example, both the title track, the cover, London Leather Boys and stuff like that, they have a very strong kind of gay connotation to them. And somebody was saying, yeah, because it was his wife writing the lyrics,
Yeah, Tiffy.
Yeah.
and and so she was not aware of the fact that she was writing them from her perspective, and he was singing them with kind of funny results. So
Yeah. You
So,
know,
which is pretty funny in my opinion, considering how, um, let's say a little bit narrow-minded could be the metal community in the 80s.
yeah,
I mean, we're talking about like a fandom that forced Halford to hide for decades. So,
And the thing was, when this came out, we didn't know. We thought the band was writing the lyrics. It
yeah,
years
exactly.
later when we would know that Wolf's wife at the time, Gabby Hawk, alias Deefy, was writing the lyrics from here right through Predator. But we didn't know it at the time. We heard
Yeah,
those,
it wasn't.
but we didn't. We just assumed Udo was writing them, right?
Right, right, right. And because just like the normal assumption that
Yep.
everybody made. But I do remember, since you guys asked me this early, um, yeah, like I kind of said already, like even like in Italy, they were the ultimate metal band. I mean, because like of course Iron Maiden were like still a very young band and they were becoming as big as they've been ever since. Priest were already in the game for a good 10 years, so they were already like well established and in their prime in the 80s, in their strongest phase, I would say, at least commercially. Um, Except were the band that made you a connoisseur, so to speak. So you were not just a random person that will hear, let's say, Home Sweet Home on radio, and so you're a metalhead. No, I mean, if you want to be like a fan, you don't just listen to Home Sweet Home, but you listen to City Boy Blues, so to speak, so to staying
Right.
in that album reference. So, except we're a little bit the underdogs, if you will. At the time, I would compare them, although they definitely had a better career, or at least a better fate in the long run, almost to Anvil in being this band that goes on and off a little bit, like in waves. People still respect them mostly for a handful of songs, handful of minor hits in the community at least. And then you never know what the next move. Now, of course, Anvil, especially thanks to that documentary that came out like, what was it, 10, 15 years ago,
something like that.
that became they became a little bit of a Spinal Tap ish kind of a situation. I don't know. It's a kind of double sword to have something like that, because of course like your name circulates, but not necessarily in a super flattering way, I would say.
I agree.
But yeah. Which, by the way, the documentary, sometimes they had like an Italian promoter that swears blasphemies like crazy and nobody knows, so they weren't censored. And when
Yeah.
I hear them, I was like,
Well,
yeah.
another band I would throw into that mix would be Raven.
Yes, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I
I,
remember that you are a big fan of Raven.
I'm a fan of Raven too. So I mean, I wouldn't put Raven's career in as saying like a lifetime, like a real life Spinal Tap, say like Anvil was. But I think Raven certainly was in that same, could be put in that same boat. And Udo had he produced some of that early stuff with Raven too. That
Right.
so there is a connection there. But I would definitely I would put them in that same category. But
Yeah.
Both of
Now,
them. I'm sorry, Magus.
no, 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 go ahead.
Thank you. Both of those bands also, like Accept, and we'll talk about this on a future album, made an album specifically to try to make it in America.
Okay.
Anvil, I don't remember the name of the album, but it was the one where they didn't have lip singing most of the lyrics, and they tried to sing about. They tried to sound more hair metal.
Hmm.
Raven did it with Pack His Back. They tried to get more commercial. And I wouldn't necessarily say it was hair metal, but they were definitely, they didn't sound like they did on All for One
Hmm.
or Rock Till You Drop. They weren't really heavy anymore.
Yeah.
And Accept would have an album like that later,
Right.
which we'll be discussing with Steve Deluxe. So
I think at
Or
some point in the mid 80s, everybody tried with different results that same route because we have Rock the Nations by Saxon.
there's another one.
At the same time, we have a band like Def Leppard that if they hadn't done that, they would probably be dead. Because with Pyromania and Assyria even more, they saw like Popsicle in the desert, and and they became huge. But it was pretty much the same kind of move that Priest made with Turbo, and we can go on forever citing examples.
how about
And
Oh,
this would
loudness.
this would be another good example when
yes,
when they get the American singer.
yeah,
I was thinking more Hurricane Eyes.
Well, yeah,
Loudness.
that too, but I mean, then really trying to get the American market, then they get Mike Becerra. But I mean,
Okay,
yeah, Hurricane Eyes, I would definitely go with that too. But then
right.
getting the American singer to try to see if that would break him, well, that didn't work either, unfortunately. But
There was also a 1987 by Whitesnake that pretty much served the same purpose. In that case, also very successfully. But yes, again, I think, and I'm gonna say something really shallow here, really horrible in a way. There is the fact that I know it sounds, I know it's just bad, but except you look at them, they were not necessarily, especially Udo, doesn't look necessarily like Brad Pitt, so to
no.
speak. So, as a matter of fact, there is a talk show in Italy at the time that created a Gremlins with stud bracelets and stuff like that, taking inspiration from Udo. That was horrible. But anyway, the point being that besides not having, he has a strong voice in his own character. He has a couple of different impressive registers, like I said, like very Lemmy at some point, very AC/DC, a little and a different pitch, but without having like the versatility and the abilities technically of a Bruce Dickinson or a Rob Halford, and also not having that figure, so to speak, might also have been one of the issues. Because like I know that we rockers or metalheads, we want to be like, pure without like all this kind of thing, but let's not forget that, and this was an actual quote, Molly Hatchet at some point fired a singer because it was like literally ugly.
hmm.
Wow.
That was it wasn't the original singer, the guy, I
Right.
don't recall his name, that
Jimmy
took it.
Barr was the one who replaced Danny Joe Brown.
I believe that's the person that we're talking about. And when they
Wow.
fired him, they literally said it wasn't appealing.
I never knew that.
No, I
Yeah,
don't think I
and
ever knew that either. Not that any of
yeah.
those guys were ever pretty to look in to begin with, but
Exactly, but sometimes it's just could be like just one quality that helps sell a record and stuff like that. And I know it sounds horrible, it sounds very shallow, but unfortunately, that's how sometimes marketing works. And otherwise, we wouldn't have had priests becoming all blondes with perms overnight between 84 and 85.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You could keep going with those stories. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Right.
So what would you rank the album? What would you if you number
I
ranking? Where
would
would you?
I would give it like an honest 7.5
Okay.
out of 10 because I think, like I said, um, it's pure 80s metal perfection. It has everything in the right place where you want it if you're looking for that sound. It has a little bit of that problem of being pretty much encapsulated in that specific window. But I mean, I love that sound, so I don't have a problem with that. It didn't age, let's say, as well as Seven Son of a Seven Son, but I mean, at the same time, that could be a different question because, like, if that band was not Iron Maiden as big as it became, how would Seven Son of a Seven Son sound today? Maybe we would be saying the same thing about that. Uh,
That's a
I
good
don't know.
that's a good thought. Love to hear some thoughts about that one. That would be good.
Yeah, I love that album to death, but you see what I'm saying? Like, everybody would quote, let's say, the song, The Number of the Beast, just the song. Honestly, in my opinion, as much as I like the song, like everybody, I can think of anything more outdated than the way that song sounds. But being Iron Maiden and being a big hit is an evergreen.
Right.
Now, I think Balls to the Walls actually sounds more aggressive. It sounds actually better than that song. I'm talking about the two songs compared.
Hmm.
And but it will never reach that status, so it will always become like a minor sibling. So that unfortunately is part of the game, I suppose.
Yep. Yeah, the lovely business of the rock and roll lifestyle. I
I
think
know, right?
I think on wasn't it on Breaker? I think they had a song about their record companies and what they thought of them. So
Son of
yeah,
a bitch.
yep. So good stuff. Good stuff, sir. So anything we need to plug for you or anything coming
Well,
up?
actually, I am trying to start a channel, so I've been recording a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. I'm talking mostly about albums or songs that are not necessarily the primary albums for a specific band that I like. And the channel is gonna be called Mangus's Music Delights, and is going to probably I'm going to open it around December. That's
Okay.
what I'm thinking about.
Excellent.
And the first album that I'll be talking about is Vicious Circle by LA Guns, which
Nice.
which is my favorite album, but one of my favorite hair metal bands.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. I'm not familiar with that album, but I know early the early LA Guns, so that's good stuff. So
Yeah. So I definitely hope that if everything takes off a little bit, and definitely hope to have you guys come in on the channel and talk about something with me.
absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. So all right, dude, you're welcome to hang around with us while we do our thing, but if you need to get rocking,
Yeah,
we
I
appreciate
think
having you on.
I'll stay a little longer, and when I need to go, unfortunately,
Sounds
I have
good.
to work, and I
All
will
right.
definitely let you know that.
Oh,
So,
all right. Well, let's kick it over to John and let's see what he got with this one.
Okay, thanks so much, guys. Before I get
Yes.
started, though, okay, I'll work on this a little bit later. I was trying to get the name of that album by Anvil where they tried to be a little more Americanized. Let me get that for you right now. The album is called Strength of Steel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm not
that was the
familiar with
album
it.
where they tried to be more Americanized, and their hardcore fans shit all over it, and they did an about face, and then they went right back to their original sound, which they continue with for most of the albums going forward. And they're still an active band. They're still playing clubs there in the United States.
Yeah.
John, don't tell me you got that album. Holy shit. Oh my God, he has it,
Oh yeah. This was
but I can't
actually
hear you.
oh, hold on. Can you hear me now?
You paused.
Oh, did I pause?
Jan?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hold on.
Okay. Well, for a
I
while
can hear you. Yeah.
for a while you paused.
Okay.
Maybe,
All
maybe
right.
it's on my end.
Okay. So yeah, this was actually my introduction. The song Concrete Jungle.
Oh, okay.
I heard it on Best of Metal Blade 3.
Okay.
So that was actually my real introduction to Anvil, and I love Concrete Jungle. I thought that was a great track. But yeah, yeah, I found this recently at my local Seasick Records place.
Nice.
I was like, oh, I got to get that. So
Cool. Very good. All
Yeah.
right.
I've actually been looking desperately around for Cold Lake by Celtic Frost, but you cannot find it anywhere.
are you trying to get it on vinyl or CD?
It doesn't matter. I just want it because I
I
only have it like on MP3s, I
I
think.
got
And
I got lucky on Discogs and found it pretty affordable on
okay,
Discogs with somebody.
yeah,
So I lucked out. So
that's cool.
Excellent. All right. This was, let me just get another glass of water
we all need to hydrate, folks. We got to do
here. Yeah.
it.
So this was my entry into Accept. My neighbor across the street was 4 years older than me. Hello, John Lutz. I hope you're well, because I haven't seen John in over 20 years. Anyway, he was 4 years older than me. He introduced me to the Balls to Wall cassette. And at that time, they were playing the video on MTV, and they actually had it in regular rotation. And he introduced me to a lot of other great heavy metal bands. He introduced me to Megadeth. He introduced me to Metal Church and several others. So, Balls to the Wall. The title song opens the album. It is their iconic, enduring signature song, the number one most played song by the band. Why? Well, several reasons. That riff is one of the most memorable in heavy metal. The lyric is a tale against oppression. And at this time, we're dealing with the very real possibility of nuclear war. That was, if you weren't living during this time, you wouldn't realize how real it was. But it's also, the lyrics are about standing up against a man, a universal feel that we have to this day. So that is another reason. Although the nuclear war part might age it, the lyrics themselves are not just talking about that too. It's about fighting for your rights, standing up for what you believe in, not being held down. The riff is very memorable. The way Udo sings it is very dramatic because at first he's, as Mangus pointed out, and I didn't think of Lemmy, but he is singing in a very low register. Then they go into the pre-chorus. He's raising his voice. And when he gets into that chorus, he starts screaming those lyrics with venom. Sense of space. The vocal melody is carrying the verses. Those guitars are just playing nah, 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 and they're just letting that chord ring. Nah, nah, nah. And then Udo's singing over that. That's great songwriting. They go into the chorus. That chorus, it's got some speed metal elements to it. It's kind of an off-kilter solo, but it's still a memorable one. Then they go into the musical bridge where the only words that are being spoken are balls to the wall. This is also the first song where we would hear the now trademark Accept gang vocals. Balls to the wall. God bless ya. Those lyrics. When people think of Accept these days, a lot of times they're thinking of those gang vocals, which they have done for the rest of their career, except for one album, which we'll be talking about in a few weeks. That groove that Peter and Stefan are laying down while Udo says a spoken word thing, lines, before he gets into the sign of victory. And then they go, oh, that is another hook. And it builds right back into that pre-chorus, which is a stunner, and goes back into that chorus. If you watch the chorus, when they go right back into it at the end, Udo spits in the camera and they never fixed it. They keep that spit on the camera. Go check it out on YouTube. And the way it ends, very, you got your balls to the wall, man. And so many hooks in this song. Gets introduced to a newer generation in the Wrestler movie because it was Randy the Ram's walkout music.
That's right.
When you get a song and it reaches a new generation through a different avenue, such as a movie or through Guitar Hero or that helps make a song iconic. Mm-hmm. To casual fans, except, oh, they sing balls to the wall. If you get one song that goes into the public conscience, you made it. Okay, we say one gold album. And in this country, the United States, they never headlined the big arenas. They were known as the kick-ass opening band. Oh, you know, Accept's going to, oh, they're opening. They always kick ass. They're great. You already know the show's going to be great. Accept's opening. But they have that one song that makes them immortal. And maybe they're not the huge sellers anymore. Maybe they don't draw a lot of fans here in the United States. In Europe and South America, they're still huge. But they have that one song.
That's all it takes.
It's all it takes. And it doesn't end there. Because then we get the 8th most played song, London Leather Boys, led by that fantastic bass line by Peter. And into that riff. Which that will provide a blueprint for some of the riffs that are on the next few albums. Excuse me. This is a song about oppression again, but this time they're talking about the motorcycle gang community. We're taking shots at them just because of the way they look, but not of all the good they do for communities throughout the United States and the world. You're just judging them based on the way they look? Wrong. That's what a lot of songs are here about, fighting against injustices. Universal feel again. The bridge kills. The bridge on here is one of the best bridges of their career. This song to this day is a very memorable track. They don't always do it live, but they do it live often. They slip it in and out. Excellent track. Speaking about fighting against oppression, we get a track called Fight It Back. This is more fast-paced. Udo sings the first verse low, the second verse high, and the crazy shrieks at the end of the choruses. Song about finding yourself, doing what you believe in, not just doing what you're told. Because maybe your adults don't have all the answers. They might be trying to keep you on the right path, but maybe they don't know everything. They don't know what the next generation's experiencing at this time. Another song of perseverance. Kills. Great sense of space in the verses. Again, Udo singing over those chords that are getting played. Not so much about the riff, although there are good riffs in the song. Head over heels. We got another great track with a killer bass opening by Peter. Very melodic. And while that riff is playing, you got that piercing guitar riff from Wolf, which I can't sing because it's too high, but that brings it in. And then they go into that big chord, and then Udo holds that note, and that rhythm brings you right in. Very melodic, great riff, excellent chorus. The musical bridge on this is killer. Excellent track. Losing More Than You've Ever Had. My favorite song on the album, even though I said great things about the ones before. This chorus is fantastic. And this is a song, it's about losing more than you ever had, about loving someone that you never really had in the first place, who never loved you. Universal feel again. This showed you there is craftsmanship with Accept. This is probably the album they really found it, because this is just an excellent side closer. Udo's vocal on this, I think, is the best vocal he does on the album. Again, another great riff, which I hear a lot of riffs similar to this on Metal Heart. Excellent. We get to the flip side. Side B. Love Child. Now we got more driving metal, more intense, great fills throughout by Stefan Kaufmann. Strong pre-chorus, short effective chorus. That will ring true for a lot of songs going forward on this one. The bridge after the solo, excellent. Don't know what I am, a woman or a man. Very graphic. Again, questioning ourselves. This album is as much about fighting against depression as about dealing with things in your mind, human psyche. Again, strong. Turn Me On. Holy graphic. Just a little. Now, these lyrics are very graphic. This is a song about sex. Just read the lyrics, folks. But again, we got a killer groove from Peter and Stefan. Wolf's solo on here is very strong. The riff on here really swings. Cool riff. Nice spot for like 5 seconds where they change up the rhythm, but right before they go into that last verse. But yes, lyrics, please turn me on, I can't hold it. Please turn me on. I explode. Says it all. And there's a lot more on there to come. Losers and Winners, number 18, most played live on its own, if you include it in the medley that they've been doing of older songs on most recent tours. It goes up to number 11. This is Relentless. Here comes those wonderful gang vocals. They're back. And they sound fantastic. Another one where you got a killer pre-chorus into the strong, effective chorus. The pre-chorus here, where you got the call and response between Udo and the band. Write the letter. What's the matter? You'll feel better. Write the letter. Awesome. Excellent heavy metal track here. Yeah. Guardian of the Night. Now we got harmonies amongst this very good mid-tempo track. Song of Rebellion. Another universal feel again. More mid-tempo, very menacing. Udo's vocal melody, again, carrying the way in the verses over Peter and Stefan's groove. Oh, Stefan's throwing in some cool fills. You got a cool Blitzkrieg-like solo from Wolf on here. And Herman Frank's rhythm guitar playing throughout this album is wonderful. Let me just say that. I wish Herman played on a few more albums. I mean, he played on this and he played on Blood of the Nations. I believe that's it. He might play on Stalingrad, I'm not sure. Another strong track. We go to Winter Dreams. I agree with Mangus. What if someone else sang it? As great as this is, lyrically, it paints a picture. I listen to this song. How would this sound recorded by another artist, but not necessarily a heavy metal artist? Because this would work as like a pop song. You take
Mhm.
more of the distortion out of guitars. I think it's just a well crafted song. Another thing, each verse played in a higher step than the previous. We go
It's
from
true.
B minor to C sharp minor to D sharp minor. Chorus. First chorus is in D, second chorus is in E, third chorus is in F sharp. How many songs do
Oh,
you hear
wow.
like that
Yeah.
that work so well?
Wow.
What a closer. The church bells in the background add a lot of ambiance. Harmonies at the end of each verse and in the chorus are wonderful. Wolf soloing on here very well for the song. What a way to end a great album. And a song that hasn't been played very much live, Winter Dreams, but it's one of their great deep cuts in my opinion. And again, I'm waiting for somebody to just discover this and record it and give Accept some more money.
Oh yeah.
Hmm. Actually, I have a question for you. Since yeah, we were both talking about this song,
Yes.
and you said something very interesting, like somebody else re-recording it, maybe even in pop. Okay, let's remain in Germany. Who could do it better than Accept?
If you remain in Germany,
That can conjugate perfectly metal and pop.
well, if you talking Klaus Main, okay, yes,
Yeah,
this
I
would
think
work.
I think Scorpions would do wonders with a song like this, and would definitely take it to a there you go. It would definitely take it to a different chart action.
I agree with that because yes, they have the knack for writing an elegant ballad. Lady Starlight,
Mhm.
Send
Yeah.
Me an Angel, Wind of Change is universal.
Humanity.
Humanity,
Humanity. In humanity, I'm not even gonna lie to you. The first time I heard it, I was like, which Queen album is this?
yeah,
When he starts singing, that doesn't sound like Freddie Mercury. That is Freddie Mercury. It's crazy. Like the very first few lines is like, whoa.
Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah, just excellent point.
Mm.
Anybody out there in the music business, listen to what we're saying. Get some artist out there to sing this song. Introduce it to
Yeah.
them. We can do something with this song because it's a very well written, very melodic, very well structured.
Yeah.
You could do something with this. Give someone a hit. In the meantime, this is a 10 out of 10.
I had a
Wow.
feeling he was going to go 10 out of 10 on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Now I feel bad.
And not, and not just because of it was my first, it's because I still think it's a 10 out of 10. I still listen to this to this
Yeah.
day pretty often. This is,
No, it's a great album.
yeah,
I mean, my lower score was literally just for being so much in the genre that cannot really expand, which is what we were saying.
yes.
Sure.
And a lot of it was on the recording of the bass and the guitars, which I
Yeah.
totally respect.
But now I feel so bad. I feel so strict. Oh, no.
No, it's all good.
Nah.
You said it
Well,
all with passion and
Yeah.
intelligence and applause.
and
No, I
that's
like
what
the
we love
album.
about all the guests that come on because everybody brings a different kind of passion, a different kind of education, a different kind of experience.
Yes,
And that's what we love about all the guests we've had on when we do these
absolutely.
series. So
Absolutely.
okay, let me I don't know if I can add much more to this than what my compadres here have said. So for me, Metal Heart was actually my introduction, but I would eventually go back. The third ever guitar magazine I ever owned had Balls to the Wall in it.
Okay.
It has and I remember taking it to my teacher, and we kind of went through the song a little bit, trying to learn the song a little bit. So it was so I learned this. I was kind of learning the juxtapositions of the song, of how to play it back in like 1985 or whatever it was. So so the song goes back to with me quite a ways. Um, yeah, I mean, you got that just that amazing riff, that just that chunky, heavy, dirty riff that just carries that opening. You got that space in the verses. You got the gang vocals. You got all kinds of Udoisms. That's my new word, Udoisms.
I love it.
Whether it's the, the, all those deep growly sigh things he would do, or, or the shrieks that you hear later on. You get, you get that classical section in that riff, and you get that, of course, the screechy solo with all kinds of whammy stuff going on, where Wolf is just Wolf is just going cuckoo on the guitar. What more do I need to say about their most enduring song? Just a classic, absolute classic. Fozzy does a really cool version of it on their second album, Happenstance. So, and Chris Jericho actually does it pretty well there. I'll give him credit for that. London Leather Boys, you just got that absolute musical strut of the band going on in this song with that yeah, great, great rhythm. You got almost a deranged sounding Udo in the intro there a little bit, but again here lyrically, you guys kind of said it all with the about the biker gang, and and just everything, just the whole misunderstanding of how people judge people, really. I mean,
Exactly.
that's really what it comes down to being. Um, Again, classic song. We missed it on they didn't play it at the Sherman, but we still got a lot of other good stuff, so I'm not complaining.
We got
Uh,
Breaker.
we got Breaker. We got Breaker, which was a nice shock. Um, Fight It Back. You get a nice emotional feel in that chorus. You get this punchy but simple riff. You get some those Udo shrieks, like I mentioned. Resisting the norm, just like you all said already. Head over heels again, kind of that intense attraction, maybe a little over aggressive at times. You just get that bass line where the cloud, if they're when they're playing it live, you're gonna hear
Yep.
you're gonna get that crowd clapping, and it's simple enough, you can do it. So I think just another great musical swagger of the song. So I love that. Um, I love Wolf's solo here, very lyrical, kind of classical in vein in parts, but just a very lyrical solo. Um, so again, you gotta love that. Losing more than you've ever had. I just love the feel of this song. There's a something. I love the melodicness of this entire song. Complete with all the backing vocals and everything. I love how they spaced it out as well. I just perfect side closer. Um, let's see. Love that driving bridge into the solo section. I thought that was also really good. Love some of that tender Udo vocal, like y'all kind of mentioned already. Love Child, another song. Just boy, the idea of societal suppression, confusion, not sure who they are, kind of thing. I think people can hear this song today and feel it's not a song that has aged badly. I think this song has aged well because it still speaks to people today, I think. Because I think you see a lot of this kind of thing, and a lot of people kind of judging, the whole judgment of others. Yeah, we got to do better than that, folks. I do agree. A great side opener. Love that again. I love the shift in the solo in the bridge section. Thought that was really good. Turn Me On. I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't remember what came first, 10 Seconds to Love or this one. But, you know,
Ten Seconds to Love.
to me, 10 Seconds to Love just got that. I mean, they sound nothing alike, but to me, that the lyrical content is about the same,
Yeah.
to me. Uh, you know, again, you just love, I love the dirty, grimy verse riff. Um, what more? Again, sax song. Don't not more, not much more you can say about it, but it's still a good. It's a great track. Losers and winners. Man, just another great chugging, energetic riff. Which we got to hear of a little bit of at the show we just saw. Another great gang vocal. Gosh, Guardian of the Night. Out of place in the day, but just right at home at night kind of feel. You know, the electronic drums, I thought, that's an interesting little tidbit to throw in there with a couple of the songs, but I think it does add to it. So it wasn't offensive to me. I like the little acoustic intro because you got some of that down back then. Um, gives weight. I thought I kind of gives way to like a more of an urgency in the verse, which I dug. Another great track. And then Winter Dreams, the palate cleanser. The palate cleansing ballad. Because you kind of needed that. By the time you're done with this album, it just was a nice way to end the album. You all have so many wonderful things to say about it. I loved Udo's. I thought Udo singing the song was definitely a right move. They did not bringing Peter to be the lead vocals for this one. I think that worked well. So nothing against Peter's vocals, but I just felt it worked. It just worked well. Um, for me, gosh, I'm going to stick with about probably a 9.5 with this one. There's really not much I can really dodge with this album. Man, I guess you said it. Both of you guys said it really. Metal perfection from this time period. So
Absolutely.
there's really not much more I can add to this, guys, because you guys really just nailed it on the head. So now, John, I'm sure there was a little bit more tour action with this album.
Yeah, this was their biggest tour to date.
Oh,
As
okay.
far as dates, 120, 74 in North America, 46 in Europe. I'll bang these out quick. October 22, 1983 is the opening date in Zegale in Graubünden, Germany. I apologize for any mispronunciations I go because some of these I was going to read them like I'm going to mess that up. I'm not going to read that. Johanneshav Stadion in Stockholm, Sweden. Saga Rakteater in Copenhagen, Denmark. Hyde Park Circus in Osnabrück, Germany. Manchester Apollo, Manchester, England. Hammersmith Odeon, London, England. The England ones I could do okay. XO7, Les Petites Quevilly, France. Agora Center Commercial, Avery 2 in Avery, France. Historische Stadthalle in Wuppertal, Germany. And in 1984, February 17, they start playing the States. Opening for Kiss during the Lick It Up tour. So they're coming out and kicking ass, and Kiss are kicking ass when they're not fighting with Vinny, sometimes on stage. Wow, that was a great album by Kiss. Saginaw Civic Center, Saginaw, Michigan. Baltimore Civic Center, Baltimore, Maryland. The Tower Theater in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania. Broome County Veterans Memorial Arena in Binghamton, New York. Then they're also putting in some shows where they're headlining at smaller clubs, like at the famous L'Amour in Brooklyn, New York. Then they go back to Canada, Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, Ontario. And then they go back to the US. They're playing smaller clubs like Metro in Chicago, Illinois, Annie's in Cincinnati, Ohio, Harpo's in Detroit, Michigan. Then they go back and play bigger venues. Opening for Saxon on the Crusader tour. Yes, another Saxon reference.
Cool.
Very good album by them. Laredo Civic Center, Laredo, Texas, Tingley Coliseum, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Santa Monica Civic Auditorium, Santa Monica, California, War Memorial Gymnasium, Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, Le Spectrum in Montreal, Quebec. Santers opened. They were big in Canada. They were promoting the Racing Time album. And then they're playing bigger venues like Cardinal Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky, where they're opening for Motley Crue and Ozzy Osbourne. And they're also playing some festivals in here, like the American Rock Festival in Gobles, Michigan, also on the bill. I'm thinking Ozzy must have headlined because we got a lot of younger bands, well, mostly Motley Crue, Quiet Riot, Night Ranger, Rat, and Triumph. Triumph were around a few years at this point. They played Monsters of Rock in England, in Castle Donington. That's also a festival, also on the bill. Gathering either AC/DC or Ozzy Osbourne must have headlined. They also had Gary Moore, Van Halen, Motley Crue, and Y&T. And then they go to France and play the Monsters of Rock Festival there. Actually, I take that back. They played in Nuremberg, Germany. Also on that bill, we got AC/DC, Gary Moore, Motley Crue, Ozzy Osbourne, Van Halen, and Dio. And then their last show on the tour was September 8th of 1984 at Palisade Sports in Bordeaux, France. So there you go.
Well, no Italian dates,
No
man.
Italian dates.
Man.
Right.
Italy, no, I didn't see any.
Huh.
Yeah, that's
Uh, well,
that's
we
surprising.
we were we were hoping because that way we could have seen how John's Italian was working there. So,
Yeah.
all right, well, folks, this is man, what a great album to celebrate, and so let us know what y'all think of this lovely album. Talk about whatever you want, whether it's the album cover or whether it's the album itself. This is a great one, folks, for anybody wanting to start with Accept. I think this is a if that would be my guess. Either this one or Restless and Wild. And I don't know, maybe you might want to point them to what we'll talk about next week with Mr. Butch that you have seen on Lair of the Alchemist. So we're looking forward to doing Metal Heart with him next week.
Butch Balak.
Butch Balak, yes. Looking forward to that. So so there you go, folks. You know all the lingo. Like, share, subscribe, comment, do whatever, say what you want. That is, we love the feedback you guys give us. John's got his show up and running, so please go check his out. He's got he's winding up the Smithereens Saturday. What else did you use? What else did you start? You
Thin
started another
Lizzy
thing.
Thursday.
Then
Make it
Lizzie Thursday,
Thursday,
baby. That's
October
right.
3. With their
So
self-titled debut.
so there you go, folks. So Thin Lizzy, folks. He was on that book with that Martin Popoff put
Yep.
out. So
Yep.
definitely go check that out. Look for when Mr. Mangus here gets his channel up and running. That's going to
Thank
be
you,
awesome
Megan.
because we're going to share the heck out of that.
Thank
So
you.
so
Forward to that.
so for John the Music Nut, for Mr. Mangus DC, John Clauser, Johnny Metal the Metal Dad, from a music corner of the world. Rock forever, y'all. Metal Heart next week. Up to the limit. We'll see you soon. Take care.